Okay. I shall never claim to have the authority, nor divine right, to be endowed with such authority to make something that could be considered a state of the world address. But if you were to ask me to make one, this would be it. Allow me to pull up my paperwork here. Bear with me, please. That one there. Okay. Let me print you the picture of the grim realities of the working class male in Australia, and perhaps most of the first world, that is underneath the age of his mid to late 30s, the filthy quote-unquote millennial men, from late 80s to the 2000s. If he has not hit the ball running by now, he has neither the equity or the paperwork or references to get by. There is reasons why millennials are stereotyped to whinge about certain things. If we do not have the tickets, the government chucks a tantrum with who work in fields that they deem require tickets. Tickets in reality mean nothing without references or experience that one can reliably report on a curriculum vitae CV resume. One can have both of these things and still be unsuccessful and unacceptable for a local workforce if you do not have the necessary prerequisites, necessary tools at your own disposal as an entry fee to any industry. From building things, breaking things, and fixing things, to serving stuck-up social elites that caviar, or cooking someone a burger, from selling gasoline, petrol, gas, LPG, hydrogen, or even recharger cables. From being an accountant, if a math nerd, or coding, and mind you, the best coders are criminals, or an English lit grammar Nazi for those who cannot do and want to settle for teaching. If one does not possess the wardrobe, the lingo, the attitude, and the necessary tools, it takes space for anyone to store the prerequisite to pretend that we are civilized and that we are not just intelligent animals making chittering noises to communicate and use the tools to build amazing things. Indeed, this may be the last generations that can still manually work. From building and construction to making your coffee, to bagging your shopping, to going to war, hell, even driving our own cars. We have engineered ourselves into obsolescence, and soon everything will be done by robots and 3D printers. If one, as a man, has not been established and locally supported and has their own hustle or business by that point, then financially he will never progress past deadlock. Because the grim reality of these people is that you get by, yes, on taxpayer money, hustles there and here, and free tax evasion by doing less than legitimate work, which can't go on their resume. For example, helping old mates move house and patch a wall, etc. Even then, the housing market for someone who is young and in reality on a low-income life is not living, it is survival. Survival. Life in anything considered a city, you can scarcely afford anything larger than the cell, and you know what cell I'm talking about, whether you've been there or not, if you are in this predicament. You share with other people in this situation, and good luck having your own space. Space to store the tools to be quote-unquote civilization approved. Motels are full of psychos and crazies. Sharehouses build cabin fever just like a small seagoing vessel. You can literally camp out in the bush and be more civilized than in a town or small city. In a full metropolis, no one knows or cares who anyone else is. In a village or in a stowed-away campsite in the middle of the wilderness, people work together or they die. And people generally leave well enough alone. If you get too big but too small at the same time, you get small-town syndrome. If you get too big but not big enough, you get a living representation of what the Marxist is complaining about, which can be summarized in a simple image. There is an able-bodied young male in the center, while above he atlases the world, which in itself is society. He is being crushed into a breadrock which has engraved in it high rent, low wages. But this is not a defense of the left or the right. The stark reality is within the next 10 or so years, if the millennial man is not successful, the millennial man is obsolete. His grandchildren, should he choose to reproduce, will likely live in a society unrecognizable to our own, regardless of whether the psychopaths who pay for both sides we vote for choose to go to war or we keep technologically progressing and escaping this blue marble. Robots have surpassed us mortal sperm donors. We still pull the strings as a species able to pull the plug for now, but that is not my argument. However, it is only a matter of time before everything is distributed by ones and zeros and 3D printers. It is only a matter of time before everything is built by robots, and you only send a person when the robot that fixes the robot is also broken. With the way computers are going, there is no reason why you couldn't literally just sci-fi level educate by beaming information into their brain and teach them the physical skills by locking them into a kick-ass virtual reality bodysuit. Hell, clever bastards in labs have figured out how to grow chicken meat from petri dishes without there ever having been a chicken. Google it. I'm not bullshitting you. If I were a corporate billionaire, what is stopping me from growing, programming, and physically training a person specifically for a once-off job from a lab and a hard drive besides the moral outrage? Let's face it, if I gave him the doll afterwards and a place to be comfortably ignored, it would still be more ethical than your literal slave labor sneakers and soy latte, deforestation. Furthermore, if I were to grow and 3D print his food, including stuff like soy, what else would he need? Fully 100% ethical, whether you want to be a vegan or a meat eater. If the need arises beyond ethics, the fact we have not invested enough in these technologies with a capital Y yet. The only missing part is storing a human's personality on a USB stick and having the ability to reprint it into an organic brain. And let's face it, that's less than 60 years away. Dolly the sheep was more than 20 years ago. Furthermore, if this young man embraces an alternate lifestyle that used to be very popular in Australia and elsewhere, before certain laws were enforced, being what is a socially acceptable bogan. Smoke, drink, loud music, fast cars in the mud, make boom, see pretty colours, oh that looks like a yummy pig, let's go get it, etc. The kind of person who says, call ahead of schedule if you can, but if you showed up on my land and knock on my door politely, I'll cook you a nice meal and send you on your way in the morning. If there's an emergency, call me on the radio. This lifestyle is scarcely accepted, and one must be very well off to be allowed to do so. Ultimately, the millennial man in Australia will be perpetually in a state viewed by the older generation as cotton wool, and due to the technological innovations made, the now generation, because we are not permitted to be as tough as we could be. There is a simple phrase: strong men make good times make soft men make hard times, and they make strong men. Clever strong men have invented their way out of being useful. I wish good luck to the next generation. I'll do my best to get you to space. Regardless, we're going to have some hard times. And this has been my State of the World address.